The galaxy had always underestimated humanity. When Earth first joined the Galactic Concord, the elder races smirked. To them, humans were infants with loud voices and fragile bones. The Concord tolerated them, amused by their persistence, dismissing their culture as primitive ambition, and for a time humanity played along. They shook hands with reptilian warlords, toasted beside crystalline diplomats, and signed treaties written in languages older than Earth's continents. But patience is not weakness. Humanity remembered every insult, every sneer, every laugh behind their backs. And they remembered the Zorath Empire. The Zorath were not just arrogant, they were cruel. Their empire stretched across 12 sectors. Their fleets blackened the stars, and their rulers believed themselves eternal. They called humans flesh things, temporary animals, and dust-born. It was tolerated at first, for the Concord thrived on peace. Yet peace is fragile, and arrogance is a hammer. The breaking point came at the Treaty of Selicar. Humanity had sent its finest envoys, ambassadors, scientists, and even poets. They believed naively that the Zorath wanted coexistence. The Hall was a cathedral of starlight, a place meant for unity. Instead, it became a grave. When the human envoy, Ambassador Liara Chen, rose to speak, the Zorath High Chancellor interrupted with a sneer. His clawed hand slammed the table. "You animals think yourselves equals? You dare speak of peace to us? You are nothing. Your worlds are nothing, and soon your words will be dust." Then, before the stunned assembly, the Zorath slit the ambassador's throat. The blood sprayed across the treaty itself, soaking its promises in crimson. The Concord gasped. Some shrieked. But humanity did not scream. Humanity did not beg. They only watched in silence as their envoy bled out before the galaxy. The Zorath laughed. That was their mistake. The war did not begin that night. Humanity left quietly, their delegation vanishing into the void without protest. The galaxy thought them cowed, broken. They whispered that humans had learned their place. But in the darkness of Sol, the forges awakened. For decades, humanity had been preparing, not for conquest, but survival. They had built fleets hidden in the black, weapons no conquered spy had ever seen. While the galaxy mocked their fragility, humans carved iron titans out of planets and moons. Their scientists studied silence, their engineers bent physics until it screamed. And when humanity's wrath was called, those hidden fleets took to the stars. The first Zorath fleet to fall never even fired a shot. Their sensors detected nothing before their hulls split apart, torn by beams that moved faster than thought. Entire battle groups vanished in silence. Colonies burned, not in chaos, but with surgical precision, each strike planned, each blow deliberate. The Zorath responded with fury. They unleashed legions, dreadnoughts larger than cities. They declared war, roaring that humans would be annihilated. Yet every time their fleets marched, they found only death. Human warships moved like phantoms, invisible until it was too late. Zorath admirals screamed into voided comms, demanding answers that never came. Their war engines shattered, their empires cracked, their pride bled into the stars. The galaxy watched in terror. Never before had humans waged war in earnest. Never had they shown the true shape of their strength. Now it was revealed in fire and steel. The war lasted 7 years, 7 years of Zorath arrogance collapsing into despair. They begged for allies, but no race dared join them. To anger humanity now was to invite extinction. Even the Concord remained silent, afraid to intervene. On the final day, the human fleet surrounded Zorath Prime. Billions of the Empire's citizens screamed beneath blood-red skies. The High Chancellor stood defiant upon his throne, hurling curses into the void, Flesh things, animals, you cannot erase us. We are eternal. Humanity answered with silence. Then the sky burned. Orbital bombardments carved the planet to ash. Oceans boiled. Cities turned to glass. The Zorath name, their empire, their history, all were erased, not enslaved, not conquered. Erased. When it ended, nothing remained but dust drifting in the starlight. The galaxy held its breath. And then came humanity's only declaration. Let this be remembered. We asked for peace. We endured your arrogance. We swallowed your insults. But the day you shed human blood in mockery, you signed your extinction. The Zorath were the last species that made humanity angry. There will never be another. From that day forward, no race dared test humanity's patience. Treaties were signed in silence. Insults died on trembling tongues. Even empires centuries old bowed their heads when humans entered the room. Zorath had believed themselves eternal. Instead, their memory was dust, and humanity's wrath was legend. Humanity never sought war. When the stars first opened to them, they reached outward with curiosity, not conquest. Colonies were planted like seeds in the void, fragile, hopeful, full of dreams. Some were small domes beneath frozen skies, others floating cities in the glow of red dwarfs. Every one of them carried the same promise, that humanity would build, not destroy. For a time, the galaxy laughed. Old races scoffed at humans spreading so thin, calling them scatterlings with no teeth. But they tolerated them because humanity did not bite back. That illusion ended with the massacre of Uran 4. Uran 4 was nothing more than a young colony on the rim. Its people were scientists, farmers, children, a community still learning to breathe alien air. They had no fleet, no army, no defenses, only a beacon that said, "We exist, we are here, come trade, come speak." The Krell came instead. The Krell were raiders by blood. They pillaged for pride, killed for amusement, and enslaved for sport. To them, Uran 4 was prey, soft, unguarded, perfect. They descended like wolves, their warships blotting out the sun. The colony's last transmission was not words, but screams. Static, fire, silence. When news reached Earth, the galaxy waited for humanity to weep, to retreat, to accept their loss as the natural order. After all, what was one colony against the tides of history? The Krell had crushed greater foes before, but the galaxy had forgotten one thing. Humans could forgive insult. They could endure mockery, but harm their children? Spill the blood of innocents? That was a fire that never burned out. The reply was not immediate. Humanity said nothing. They mourned quietly, burying their dead in the silence of stars, and then, without warning, the shadows moved. Krell patrol fleets began to vanish. First one, then another. At first, the galaxy assumed it was pirates or accidents. But the disappearances multiplied, entire convoys gone without trace, strongholds that had stood for centuries burned in the night, their distress calls ending in static. The Krell grew nervous. They boasted loudly, declaring they feared nothing, yet their ships no longer traveled alone. Their admirals doubled their escorts. Still, it made no difference. The attacks came like whispers, precise and merciless, and for the first time in living memory, the Krell felt hunted. Then the storm came. Human fleets emerged from hyperspace not as scattered ships, but as juggernauts of vengeance. They were not the flimsy vessels the Krell remembered. These were predators forged in silence. Hulls black as the void, weapons that tore through shields like paper. They did not roar. They did not threaten. They simply struck. Krell worlds fell one by one. Their skies burned as orbital bombardments rained fire. Their soldiers fought desperately, but it was like throwing pebbles against a mountain. Humanity advanced without pause, without mercy. Some races begged the humans to stop, to show restraint. They argued that vengeance was natural, but extermination was monstrous. Humanity's answer was cold and unflinching. You touched our children. You murdered the defenseless. There will be no forgiveness. The Krell sued for peace. They sent envoys crawling on their knees, their claws stained with the blood of their victims. They begged for mercy. Humanity did not even grant them an audience. Instead, they accelerated the war. Every fleet, every weapon, every resource turned to one purpose: erasure. Krell fleets shattered, their fortresses cracked, their homeworlds screamed. The galaxy watched in horror as a species once feared across the stars crumbled like sand before a tidal wave. The end came with the fall of Krell Prime. The last stronghold of the Empire, it was a world of steel and fire, armed to the teeth. Billions huddled beneath its towers, praying their gods would deliver them. The Krell overlord broadcast across the galaxy, defiant to the last. You cannot kill us all. We are eternal. Humanity is weak. Humanity is... His words ended as the human flagship descended from orbit, its cannons unleashing a storm that split continents. Cities vanished in light. Oceans boiled away. The overlord's palace crumbled into molten stone. By the next dawn, Krell Prime was nothing but ash. Silence followed. And then came the declaration that froze the galaxy's blood. The Krell made the mistake of touching what we love most. They are gone. Their name, their worlds, their memory, erased. Let this be the last warning. Never again test humanity's patience. In the centuries that followed, no race dared whisper the Krell's name. Their ruins were left untouched, their history erased from archives. It was as if they had never existed at all. Only in hushed tones did the elder races remind their children, do not anger the humans, for the last species that did was erased from existence, and the galaxy knew it would never happen again. The galaxy had always known the Talakar Confederacy as predators. They were old, cunning, and cruel, a web of clans bound by conquest. For centuries they had enslaved weaker species, plucking them from their homes like cattle, chaining them to mines and factories. Their name was spoken with fear, their banners carried on fleets that stretched across the stars. To resist them was suicide. To defy them was death. And when they discovered humanity, they saw nothing but another harvest. The first contact was not war. It was exploration. A small human expedition vessel had strayed into Talakar space, mapping uncharted stars. Its crew of 30 carried no weapons beyond survey drones, no cargo beyond scientific instruments. They were not soldiers. They were dreamers. The Talakar took them, chains clamped onto human wrists and throats. Some were dragged into slave camps. Others were dissected in laboratories for research. Their screams echoed through iron halls, ignored by their captors. The Talakar laughed at their defiance, mocking their cries. To them, it was nothing. Another species broken. Another prize for their coffers. But to humanity, it was the line that must never be crossed. When the Confederacy announced their conquest of the flesh apes of Sol, they expected silence, a whimper, perhaps a pitiful plea for mercy. What they received was nothing at all. Earth's diplomats did not protest. Its fleets did not mobilize openly. Its leaders did not shout. Instead, humanity smiled. They bowed their heads. They sent envoys to the Concord chambers, nodding politely, as if they had accepted their fate, and then they vanished. The galaxy thought them cowed. The Talakar laughed, declaring the humans broken before the war had even begun. Yet in the silence of Sul, beneath the black shroud of secrecy, humanity sharpened its knives. They did not rush. They did not posture. They planned. Years passed. A decade, perhaps more. The galaxy forgot the insult, but humans did not. Then the cracks appeared. First, a Telekar mining fleet disappeared near the Nebar Rift. An entire convoy, gone. Days later, a fortress world fell silent. Its defenses had not fired a single shot. Patrols reported ghost signals, whispers in the void. And then they too vanished. The Telekar laughed it off at first. Pirates, they said. Malfunctions. Bad luck. But the losses grew. Entire sectors fell dark. Fleets reduced to wreckage. Stations gutted with surgical precision. Always the same. No survivors, no signals, no warning. Only silence. The Confederacy began to panic. Their arrogance cracked. For the first time, they realized something was hunting them, something patient, something precise, something human. And yet, humanity said nothing. No declaration of war, no speeches, no demands, only the creeping inevitability of extinction. The Telekar tried to retaliate, sending armadas to Sol itself. None returned. It was as if Earth had become a black hole, swallowing all who dared approach. Whispers spread across the galaxy. Rumors of weapons no one had ever seen. Warships that could hide within shadows, striking without warning. Beams that sliced through fleets as if they were paper. Worlds sterilized in silence. Still, no proof emerged. Humanity never gloated. They never broadcast their victories. They simply erased. The end came quietly. The Telekar High Council gathered in desperation, their chambers echoing with fear. They demanded answers from their admirals, from their scientists, from their spies. But the reports were all the same. We do not know how they strike. We cannot track them. We are being erased. And then the lights died, one by one. Their counselors screamed as shadows broke through the chamber. Human war forms, silent, unmarked, moved through the halls. No speeches, no mercy. Only the cold efficiency of extermination. When dawn rose on Telekar Prime, the sun shone on ruins. Their cities were ash, their fleets gutted, their people gone. The Confederacy, once the scourge of empires, was no more. The galaxy trembled. For weeks, no one spoke aloud what had happened. But the truth spread like wildfire. Humanity had erased an empire without a word. And then, at last, came their only message, broadcast across every channel, every world, every system. We asked for peace. We endured mockery. We tolerated arrogance. But the Telekar enslaved our children, and for that, they no longer exist. Let this be remembered. The last species that made humanity angry was erased from existence. There will never be another. The silence that followed was louder than any war. From that day forward, no race dared touch humanity. Treaties were signed in whispers. Threats vanished from tongues. Even ancient powers who had stood unchallenged for millennia lowered their eyes when humans entered the room. The Telekar were gone. Their memory forbidden. Their names spoken only in shadows as a warning to the young. Never provoke humanity. Because the last species that made them angry had been erased, and the galaxy knew it would never risk such wrath again.